First, going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Amen. Sherry, would you swear everyone in, please? I know.
Anyone that's going to testify, if you would please stand and raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, adoption of the minutes for last month's meeting. Does anyone have any changes to those minutes?
Move to adopt as presented.
I'll second it. Thank you. So moved. Agenda for, let's see, additions and deletions for the agenda today. Staff, any changes to the agenda?
I do. C1A, that's Chef Lynn's Asian Buffet. They have paid their citation and complied with the order, so I'm pulling the case. C2B, H&R Block, I'm postponing that. They have complied. They're waiting for a check to come in from corporate for the penalty. And 2E, Echo, Nataman LLC, they have paid and they have complied.
Okay, thank you. Officer Sanderson?
Under item A, case A, 15 CE 5512, Wagner et al. Has a retained counsel and postponement has been requested. That will not be heard today.
Okay.
CB, JT and Jordan Wakeland being pulled. They're working with the building department.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Could you repeat that?
15 CE 5602, JT and Jordan Wakeland being pulled from the agenda. Under 2, case C and case D, Outlier Investments, Matt Martise, both of those are being pulled. Mr. Martise has signed a code compliance agreement with the city.
Okay.
That's it.
That's all.
May I ask a question? What are the terms of this compliance agreement?
What are the terms of the compliance agreement is...
I'm sorry, but that's really a matter of just for enforcement. The code board doesn't get involved in compliance agreements.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, hearing no more changes, I move we adopt the agenda as changed.
Second.
Amended. Thank
Third.
you. Hearing, sorry, what? Okay then, motion carries. Thank you. Let's go to, well, it was canceled. Okay, case number 15-CE-5671 for Mark William Tomradol. You may step up to the podium, sir. And you were sworn in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let staff speak on this case first.
Hi. Well,
You're on.
oh. Betty Hunter with Indian River County Building Department Contractor Licensing. I got an email that there was unpermitted work at 808 L Perito Street. And so I decided to do a drive-by to see if anybody was working still. Mm-hmm. And this gentleman was there working, Mark William Tomradil.
Could you speak into your mic, please?
I don't think it's on. You're on.
It says on. Hello. Oh, there I am. Anyway, this gentleman was working and he didn't have a license. So I cited him for unlicensed contracting. And while I was there, the saw was going and he was carrying a piece of plywood. And so I did have a visual also.
Assumption is he was building something.
He's remodeling.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a couple pictures that you had taken of the work that was.
Hold on.
Melody, we'll put that on the doc cam so everybody can see it.
Okay.
That was just pictures that were emailed to me.
There's some magic involved in that thing. I used to know how to do it, but
Correct. Okay.
Okay. Hurry up, push the button.
I don't know if you push the button or didn't.
sure, he'll put it on.
And this gentleman was the only gentleman on site at the time of the visit.
This is your house, Mr. Tom Riddle? Am I saying that correctly?
Tom Riddle.
Tom Riddle?
Mm-hmm.
Your home?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, you're free to speak.
Well, my
And if
parents
just for the record, state your name and address, please.
Yes. Mark William Tom Riddle, 5425 4th Manor, Vero Beach, Florida 32968.
Thank you.
Well, my presence here today, I'm here to contest the citation that was issued me for unlicensed contracting, which a $500 fine has been indicated. Investigator Hunter appeared at the job and informed me that, asked me a few questions, and informed me that she designated me as an unlicensed contractor. I indicated to her I'm not a contractor, that I am working for the homeowners, Jesse and George, that are my friends. She issued me the citation, gave me a choice to sign. Either I accept it right then and there or to request a hearing. So I requested the hearing. So I'm here today. Good afternoon to you all.
Thank you for coming in. So what was the scope of your work for your friends?
The house is being remodeled for them to occupy the home, and at that time, I believe, of this on April 21st, permits and the overall site permit was pending. The architects and engineers were going back and forth with the, I believe, the building department, trying to finalize that. So me being on the job prior to that, I was under the understanding that I was doing things that were non-permittable, that didn't require a permit. And since I'm working for my friends, I didn't see a problem with that, or was not under the impression that I was violating any codes or any laws.
Okay, so what were you? Give me an idea of what you were doing. I see what looks like. Are you an electrician by trade?
No, sir. That's not my truck.
That's not your truck. Okay. What? You're not a contractor, correct?
No.
You just are.
I have building trade experience,
right?
And wanting to help, Jesse and George.
What type of work were you doing, though, on site? What type of work were you doing? Drywall or electrical?
I've done some carpet removal, some flooring removal, trim, and tile.
Okay.
And they're compensating you, I would assume.
Well,
for your time, or are you doing it out of the goodwill of your heart?
Compensated at some of the expenses. I also was doing some pickup and deliveries for materials. You can see we have our windows and things there. I've been compensated for making some deliveries, Again, if I put anything out for the project, some dinners, barbecues at their house. I mean, so I don't know if you want to call that compensation, but
Trade.
May I ask a question? Have you done any of these goodwill gestures for anyone else?
yes,
How
volunteer
many?
work.
How many?
At least 2 other times through requests through men's ministry at church. There's one major one, and I can think of at least another one.
Have you applied for a permit since being visited by the code enforcement officer?
When you say me, the job, I'm led to believe everything has gone through. So all the permits and everything has been approved after a long haul from the sound of it, but I haven't applied for any of it. No.
Okay.
Question. Did you do any work on any of the structural supports or ceiling beams or roof or floor beams?
Structural supports.
In other words, did you knock out any walls? Did you?
No, I mean,
De-
in
any
regards to the
demolition
photo,
work?
or-
With regards to anything, did you move a wall? Did you add a wall? Did you do anything with rafters, beams, joists, things of that nature?
No, some exploratory, opening up the rear section of the Florida room, which involved a little bit of drywall removal, so that the engineer could see the tie beam, because there's like structural settling and things like that he had to be able to see to draw up the plans. So there was some removed in the back.
Are you employed by a contractor?
No, sir.
How old is the house?
I believe it was built in the 60s from the look of it.
Okay. Clearly, you've broken there is a violation in my mind. You should have had a permit to do this work, and it's also a question in my mind, which I don't know, because of the scope of his work, he's not a licensed contractor. I'm
Correct.
not sure that he could even perform this type of work.
Correct. And the permit was applied for on 4/27, and this citation was 4/21.
And I was on the site on the 16th with the scope of the work and advised them that they looked like they would need a permit for the extent of what was being
Okay.
done.
So you talked to them.
I talked to someone
you
on the
checked
site.
them. Work was being done. No permit. There was no permit, and you had
Correct.
an unlicensed contractor performing
Correct.
unpermitted work.
Correct.
And so the permit's in hand now?
It's pending
Pending.
What?
approval.
By whom?
When
Looks
the
like.
contractor applies, it's an after-the-fact permit, so they have to get their paperwork in order because they're certifying on anything that's been done prior.
And a licensed contractor is pulling the permit after the fact,
There is a licensed contractor involved?
afterwards.
Ex post facto.
Question. How many times was this gentleman spoken to by anybody from the county or the city?
To my knowledge, the only time I spoke to him was the day that he was issued the contractor licensing citation by Ms. Hunter. There were many people working the day that I was there, and I just talked to whoever would talk to me. I'm the one who
There
took
were more.
those
There were more
pictures.
people on the job site.
Those are pictures I took the first day I was on site.
Were
which
they
was the
permitted?
16th.
Who were the other people?
There were people working on the home.
And you have license?
No, I just stopped and asked, did they have a permit? They said no. I knew the only permit that they had was for resurfacing the pool, and I told them I believed that the work would involve a permit. When I returned to the office, I emailed the building department and got confirmation that they would require a permit.
See that, Mr. Tom Riddle. That to me, I like, and I say this whenever anybody comes up to argue their case, I like for people to be involved, and I like for people to, if it's necessary, to defend themselves, and I like to give them the benefit of the doubt. However, in this case, it's clear to me that you had the benefit of the doubt with the first visit from Officer Sanderson. So, unless somebody else has something to say, I'm going to recommend that we go along with the.
Mr. Chairman, I noticed he was here with a couple other gentlemen. I didn't know if he wanted to call any witnesses.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. Everybody needs to get a chance to speak.
It's his chance. Yeah, if he wants to call any witnesses, it's up to him.
I actually have two people with me today. George Offleck, which is one of the owners, and also Bob Matthews.
Bring them up if they'd like to make a statement.
May I ask you a question? Afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Were you both sworn in?
Yes, we were.
Yes.
Okay, and if you would, if you're going to speak, please, for the record, state your name and address.
Sure, certainly. George A. Offlick, A-U-F-L-I-C-K. I'm one of the owners of the property, along with my partner, Jesse Crystal. And my address is 140 Island Sanctuary, Vero Beach, Florida, 32963.
Thank you, sir. And what do you have to say with regard to this case today?
Well, I would say this. We bought the house in December. We did not plan to do any work until probably March. I was diagnosed with cancer during that period, a repeat. And unfortunately, I'm going under heavy chemo right now. I'm here today with that, but I know what I'm saying. Mark came in to help us. We were removing originally, and I don't want to say anything. I think these two ladies are fine. They're doing a great job. The first with the county, we paid immediately, and the only thing we were doing the only additional work was to remove that plywood in the bedroom that had cat urine all over it in the baseboards. We'd already taken out the carpet. Everything in that garage is for future work, licensed work. There are appliances in there. There are drywall. There's the plywood stacked up together. There's windows and doors already purchased. We always go out and buy all this stuff in anticipation of the permit. We've been working with Mike Sabatowski now for the last 60 days. I'm kind of in and out of the picture because of my treatments. But he is the licensed contractor. Mike told us recently that we were very close, and unfortunately Mark was in the house again pulling out the stuff in the bedroom because we had the pool guy there also then under license. He has a license, but Mark did what I thought was proper. We're the owners, and I had been there with him almost every day, or Jesse, and I thought that was okay. As owners, we could do the cleanup work and get it ready for when they come in. You know, we're not installing walls. We're not dropping walls. You know, we ended up with 2 windows that were broken, and yes, we stuck those in, but they're tacked in. They're only tacked in, so the real window company, when they come for the windows in the garage, can put them in. I hate that this gentleman has a problem because I'm responsible. I'm the owner.
We stuck the windows in because when you bought the house, they fell out in the yard.
The house was so old. Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot that part. But honestly, the house was so old that the carpets were just bad, 6 cats, and the windows, honest to God, fell out. Let me introduce Bob here too, who's been a great friend to me, and he's also fighting cancer right now. How things happen and come in remission, and then it comes out.
Bob Matthews. I live at 43 Grande Camino Way, Fort Pierce, and I'm also a friend of George and Jesse, and Mark and I, actually Mark has worked on a couple of other pro bono projects because I worked on both of them with him. One of them was 12 weekends long. I think, you know, if we went beyond the scope of what friends can do to help other friends, we did it inadvertently. and not on purpose. We try to stay within the confines of what a homeowner can do and what a homeowner can't do. Technically, this home is owned by an LLC, but it's representative of nothing more than a married couple. That's all it is. And that was done for whatever tax reasons they may have. You know, some of the photographs that you see, for example, you see Rick King's truck there. Rick King is going to be, when we have a permit, the licensed electrician who will put new electric service in the home. It requires it, and it's going to get it. The windows that we were said to have installed, again, what George said, we just tacked them in a hole to cover up the fact that the windows that were there when we cranked the jalousies out, they literally, so help me God, they fell out in the yard. So we just tacked them in. They're not installed. They will be installed by our general contractor when the permit is issued, which, you know, earlier this week, Sunday, actually, Greg Washburn sent us a list of 12 things to comply with, and we've done all that, and that stands at a point of approval today, tomorrow, the next day. But whether it's Mark or myself, I've been on the job site as well doing things, hanging a door in a closet, you know, painting the back bedrooms. We removed the slider doors that go from the interior of the home to the Florida room and put up a temporary plywood wall just to keep critters and so forth, you know, out. And I really, that's about all I can say. I mean, if none of us is doing this as a profession or as a job. You know, we don't do that kind of work. We have the skill, but that's not what we do, you know. So it's pretty tough to be an unlicensed contractor if you're not a contractor. You know, did we go beyond what we should have done? Maybe, probably, but it was not done inadvertently or not done intentionally.
If I may say one more thing, could I? Permissible to say one more thing, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Ladies?
Sure.
I worked for the Department of Justice for 30 years, DEA actually, and I moved constantly. I had 19 different homes. This was to be my sister's final home from Ohio. She has neuropathy in both her arms and legs and can't use them, and she's went through a terrible 10 years. But this will ultimately be her home and her husband's home to get her out of the cold weather. I've not been able to do the work the way I wanted to. I've not been able to get forward with the permits as much as I wanted to. We did have Frank Farley, the engineer on this project, into the county and I believe the city numerous times with the plans during the prior month of everything. So structurally, he was getting that all done. The back roof, the back side requires a new roof. It's going to be supported by a new section.
It's an entire roof over.
Yeah, it's an entire roof over. The house is 1960s. Everything's falling apart. So it's going to be down to the beams to make this livable. And I think we have good people in line to do that. I've always done a son owner cleanup work. I've always went in and got the house ready for the contractors. I think these ladies are doing their job, but I did not know, or I would have stopped him. The $50 one he got hit with the county, I understood that one with the city, and I paid that one right away. The second one, I didn't really understand, and I guess that's why we were here, because I thought as an owner, I could take out a cat urine piece of plywood and replace it. That was already in the garage when the gentleman or the lady from the county came through and took the pictures. So, I mean, as Bob said, if we've done something that was unintentional, I don't know of anything that I thought from other homes that I would have required a permit on. I would have interceded if I knew that.
There's no intention on any of our parts to pull a fast one or try to slip something by or it just doesn't exist, you know.
Okay.
So, and the permit is impending, as she said. Mike Zabatowski a well-known engineer, a well-known general contractor from here, did get it in. That had been in the works since in early April also, along with the plans got sent back 2 or 3 times before Mike was even able to submit the actual plans for the contractor job, because we needed to add a strut and a couple other things.
Mm-hmm.
So the county did their job efficiently as far as remodeling. We had to add 7 piers to the house. And the engineer did not recognize that in the part of the wall that Mark cut open for him. So we're trying to do everything honorably, legally, and that's pretty much it. Trucks come and go because we're prepping to do the jobs.
Okay.
But they're not doing work. They're giving us estimates.
Thank you, Mr. Hofflick. Now,
Thank you all very much.
Thank you for speaking. Thank you. And thank you for coming in. Now, here's my thought process, is that all of these things that describe the unfortunate health situation notwithstanding, yes, sir, please sit down. All the things that have been described, for example, if I wanted to put pavers in at my house, I would need a permit to do so, something as small as that. All of these things that have been described are things that do require a permit. And so in my mind, the unfortunate thing is that because Officer Sanderson was there before Officer Hunter was there, that was the indication that, hey, we need to look into this, or we need to cease and desist.
Can I point something out?
Yes, sir, please.
The citation isn't for I assume anyway, the part that you're contesting is the $500 fine, and that's for unlicensed contracting. The fine isn't for not having a permit.
You're speaking of things you can't hear yourself.
It says no permit.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The $500 fine is for unlicensed contracting.
Correct. They were guilty of all 3. And I could have charged
Could have
for
been a
all-
$1,500 fine.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I have said what I believe to be true, and my opinion is that there is a violation, and the fine is $500. If anyone on the board has a suggestion, I would like to hear it now.
All we can do is uphold or.
Yeah, this is one of those.
This is one of those.
This is one where you can't even reduce the penalty. It's statutory nature. It's 500 and can't be reduced.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I make a motion that the violation stands.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Hearing none, motion carries. Gentlemen, honestly, thank you for coming in and speaking.
Thank you.
Okay.
That one hurts.
Next case, this is a request for board order, case number 15-CE-5554, Daniel Eugene Chapman.
Requesting a board order for case 15-CE-5554. The violator, Daniel Eugene Chapman, was cited for occupying a dwelling without water or sewer at 2745 27th Avenue. Service of the citation was provided by hand delivery to Mr. Chapman by an officer of the Vero Beach Police Department. No request for a hearing on the citation has been received, so a hearing to contest the citation has been waived and the violation is deemed admitted by the violator. The violation has been corrected as of March 3rd. The civil penalty has not been paid. No enforcement costs requested by the city, asking for a board order in this case for the initial penalty.
How much is that? Is it 50?
50.
No cost of prosecution. Okay. Sorry.
When you say complied, what exactly is that? Does that entail? Those people moved out, or the water was turned on?
The house is not occupied. It presently is boarded. It was abated by the city as a public nuisance.
Okay, thank you.
You said it
How
was.
long were they living in there? Do you know?
I don't know.
You said it was corrected March 3rd.
Okay, so
13th or 3rd?
Third.
Put it up.
Okay, well, I make a motion that we issue that the violation has been corrected, and we issue a board order for the $50 fine.
I'll make that motion, but I would also urge our council to up those type of penalties. Yes, I vote yes and make the motion.
Are you seconding the motion?
You made the motion, or
I made the motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
While we're on this case.
Yes, sir.
This thing has been in court for a long time. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's in my neighborhood is why I got phone calls about it. They knew that it was going to happen today. Wayne, you want to tell them what you told me and where it stands in the courts?
Well, it's in foreclosure is a thing. So obviously there was a list pendants filed, and we've kind of held back on taking any other action, such as the building official is probably in the position where he would declare it unsafe and order it demolished. But with it being in the middle of a foreclosure and a list pendants filed, if we went forward with that, we would never recover the expense if the city did in fact tear it down. So we're hoping to see that. Unfortunately, the most recent activity in the case, the plaintiff, the bank, has asked to just modify their complaint. So it's not even close to a final hearing yet. So unfortunately, it's probably going to stay an eyesore for a little bit longer, rather than the city taking action. And typically in these things, once the bank is probably going to be the one ending up owning it, and they would certainly be pressured to go ahead and take care of the problem as soon as they get ownership of it.
So the point is that the bank, once they take action, will own it, and then we can take action with the bank.
Exactly.
We'll have someone responsible to reply to.
And if it's a repeat violation, we can double the penalty.
Right.
Well, what we're concerned with is the building official has already indicated there's a good chance he could declare it unsafe because there was a fire there also, I believe.
At which point it'd be the bank's dollar that it would be demolished with, and not ours.
Right, exactly.
Is this the house with the pod in the driveway you were talking about?
No.
Another house altogether.
Problem is, you're talking several $1,000s of public money to probably tear this down, and we would be unable to recover it so long as that case is pending and the list pendants is in effect.
Okay.
Yeah, that house with the pod, they removed it. There's another one down the street, but they removed that one. They got the work done and removed that. This is about 100 yards away from that one. And it's been on the books for a long, long time, years, in fact.
I don't have the law with me, but I did look something up. There is an ordinance prohibiting that type of pod being on a property. So it's in there. You have to find it, but the law is there. I've seen it.
Well, why don't you find it again and call Wayne?
I will try and find it.
Call code enforcement.
Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, I can search the code right now. Do you remember what it was called? Like storage. Or... I know. I asked. We asked Tim McGarry about it, and he said he didn't have any restrictions on it.
Just as a side note, on the 2245 27th Avenue, there is an active case for a public nuisance for the grass and all the garbage and debris.
That part I looked up, yeah.
Right. The bank is aware. The bank came to the property. They were going to clean it, but their idea of cleaning it is removing the wood and sticking everything back in the house. So they left that day.
Huh.
Hopefully they'll be back.
Paperwork on my desk.
So you just
hope you're
checking on it then.
Does the bank realize it's a tear down?
I don't know what the bank thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Let's see if they can find that. Well, Wayne, you look for the code, and we'll move on to the next case.
I'm not seeing anything.
Okay. Well, let's move on to case number 15-CE-5501. Tony and Lorenzo Abbasi.
On this case, we're not requesting a board order. We're going to be requesting a notice of assessment. So requesting notice of assessment on case 15-CE-6501. The violators, Tony and Lorenzo Abbasi, were cited for the violation of operating a guest house and transient quarters in a residential zone at 3766 Ocean Drive. If you look at your monitors on the bottom where it says Chapter 60, if you click on that, that will bring up the definition.
Melody, they can't click on it.
You've got to do it.
We're not that sophisticated.
You don't have a clicker.
Have the ability or the. You don't even own a computer.
It gives you the definition of transient occupancy. Service as the citation was provided by posting the property on April 17th, 2015. No request for a hearing on the citation has been received, so a hearing to contest the citation has been waived and the violation is deemed admitted by the violator. The violation has not been corrected as of May 13, and the penalty has not been paid. Enforcement cost of $249.50 are requested by the city with an affidavit of those costs on file with the board clerk. Requesting the board authorize an issuance of a notice of assessment, in this case, continual penalties of $500 a day starting 4/18 and enforcement cost.
Okay. Make a motion that the board issue a notice of assessment.
So is there somebody still living there?
You have questions? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think she's got some other evidence she wants to
Just
show
the
you.
listing for the property.
Oh.
Don't want to be there during a storm.
Where is that? Ocean Drive. Yeah, I know that's another house.
The weekly price that the house can be had for $5,000 a week, and on the rental agreement,
Okay, Melody, hang on a minute, please.
You're going to need the portable mic that's in the drawer.
The original house fell in the ocean.
Say it again.
You say what I'm saying.
You say what I'm saying?
Wait, let me get this on because I'm not going to get it on the record if you
$5,000 a
don't.
week. This will be good. This thing works about half the time.
$12,000 a month.
There's a lot of this going on down there.
There is. Yep.
Tons of it. I wasn't aware of it till the other day.
Go online and you'll see a lot of it.
$5 bucks, it's $5,000 a week.
Okay, there's where the weekly price is for the $5,000 a week. And then the availability, it shows a 7-night minimum stay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in city limits?
Yeah,
No?
this is as you are headed north on Ocean Drive and you make the right hand. There's a bend right before you get to the boardwalk,
Uh-huh.
and that's the last house before you get to the boardwalk.
Yep.
Oh, I see, because there's the racket club back there,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I know where
I
it
know
is.
right where that is.
That was just built.
Yeah.
That was just built.
I think it's because the other house fell in the ocean.
Huh?
It's not just
Oh,
built,
it's right
it's
next to
very
it.
old.
But
Okay.
It's old?
It's older. It's not one of the newer.
60s.
Really?
nevertheless, I would like to make a motion that the
Well, Mr. Chairman, do we know if the violator's here? Because they do get a notice of these hearings. We have quite a few people in the audience.
oh,
and
that's true. Is anyone here to speak on this case?
That's the Abbasi case?
It is. No one? Okay. So I'm going to make a motion.
Again,
And I will second it.
go ahead.
No, he said I will make you said I will make. I'll make one now. Okay. I make a motion that the board finds there is a violation and that penalties of enforcement cost of $249 must be paid, and the continuing penalties beginning April 18th for $500 per day to continue.
And I would like
That's
to
to
second
issue the
that.
notice of assessment of $500
right.
a day.
And issue a notice of assessment of $500 per day beginning April 18th, correct? Yes.
Wow. There goes their
Do I have a second?
Second.
That's it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
I have a question after the
Yeah,
fact.
that's an old house.
So their violation is the fact that they're advertising this? Or has somebody been renting it the whole time?
The citation was issued based on an interview with the occupants who advised they were renting the house for 2 weeks.
And the code does now, it was clarified to show that there's a rebuttable presumption that if it's being advertised for periods less than 30 days, that it is in fact being used for that
By
purpose.
default, yeah.
What if it's being advertised for 31 days,
That's permissible.
but the guy calls and says, but I don't want it 31 days, I want it for 2 days?
Minimum rental is 7 days on the
Which was changed from yesterday when it was only a 3-day minimum.
wasn't okay.
And then they pay taxes on this money that they're making, is that correct?
Who knows?
They should. They could go through the bid tax on that if they're doing what they're
So how do
supposed
we
to.
go about, how does that get entered into it, to see if they have?
That's outside our
The county.
jurisdiction.
The county does bid tax and sales tax.
It's like, I have a problem with that, but that's okay. There are a lot of people here in the audience today. Did anybody want to speak, or did anybody have any questions or anything that before we adjourn that they
Is
wanted
there anybody
to
their
say?
case wasn't called?
Your case was not called, sir?
Oh, Mr. Pryor.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry.
We noticed him.
You did.
I think she's talking about the paper notice.
He and I worked on compliance as well.
So we're okay there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, yes, sir.
I just want to say something about what Frank had said. He had started asking about a compliance agreement.
That's my next question.
And I kind
wanna know about
I'm
this.
sorry for cutting him off, but the thing is, that's just like a pretrial intervention scenario, like the state attorney does with someone charged with a crime. That's strictly within their venue. It's within enforcement. This board has no jurisdiction over compliance agreements. Only if they don't comply with the agreement, then it's brought to you. But we have due process issues too if you start talking about a compliance agreement or a case and the violator isn't here.
So in short, what's an example of what the compliance agreement might say?
Well, the compliance
Or opposed.
agreements, it's set out in the code what has to be in there. They basically have to admit that there's a violation. They waive the right to a hearing to contest the citation, and they then agree to a date certain that they'll bring the property into compliance or stop they'll correct the violation by a date certain. If that doesn't happen, then it's reported to the board, and they're noticed that the board is going to hear the noncompliance.
Okay, so in a case like this, then we find that it's in compliance. This is a rental situation. And next month, we're not in compliance again. Do we have another agreement that goes out and nothing ever gets solved?
Typically that's in the discretion of the enforcement arm of the city, but in the police department now. But typically that would be part of what they look at, I would imagine, on deciding whether or not they would even enter into an agreement with a violator. My guess is they'd be much less likely to give them another shot, to correct it.
And the reason I ask, Officer Sanderson, you're probably well aware I've seen this guy's name up on our agenda at least 4 times now.
Who are we talking about?
Specifically,
Yes.
Outlier.
Yes.
This is who the agreement was made with, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And what is your question?
Well, that's why I was so curious to know what this agreement was about, because he just keeps showing up on the agenda.
Well, and again, we shouldn't be talking about specific cases when they're not here. They haven't been noticed to be here. They don't have the opportunity to be heard.
Okay.
It's a due process issue.
I understand that. Okay. Well, at least I know.
So let me understand that the owner of this house is a local?
Well, here's the thing. Because he's not here, we're not going to talk about it.
Oh,
He needs to have the capability of rebuttal.
Right. So I think what's happening is, in general, when you have cases like this, he's being given the opportunity to correct the violation before ending up back in Code Enforcement Board meeting.
If someone successfully completes a compliance agreement, you never hear or see anything about it. You never see them. It's only when they don't meet the terms of those agreements that it's brought before the board.
It's good if it comes into compliance. It's not good if it's back out of compliance a month later.
Right, but as you see, when the agenda is prepared, they might not be in compliance or they might not have entered an agreement with us. So though you see it frequently on the agenda, doesn't mean that it's not corrected. Sometimes it's corrected and just never comes forward because he's come into compliance, or like in this case, he signed an agreement yesterday afternoon.
Well, we won't speak about him specifically. We'll just pretend like it's
We're talking generally.
General, very general, broad.
Many people that show up on our agenda repeatedly are there for different violations. So it's a different situation with each.
So it's not operating without a permit.
Correct.
Or
And then
grass and
Or a different
overgrowth
property owned by the same owner.
Just to see if they can get away with it.
Okay.
Yeah, they push the edges.
Yep. Absolutely. Anybody else? Yes, sir?
Well, we really don't have public comment at Code Enforcement Board. This is all
different format.
quasi-judicial matters. This is a different kind of animal. Why don't you ask me after the meeting?
Okay. Anyone else have anything else before we adjourn? Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.